Okay. Okay. OpenShift. So currently we have a container. Okay. So we will be having a container build. So this container build will be deployed. Container build will be deployed into Kubernetes environment. It can be EKS in AWS, AKS in Azure, Google Kubernetes GKE service, Google Kubernetes service. But for on-premises, there is two different platforms available, or many other platforms available, but popularly one is from Red Hat, which is Red Hat OpenShift, and another one is called as VMware Tanzu. VMware Tanzu. So these two products is to run the containers. So basically, Kubernetes itself a orchestrator platform. So what Kubernetes does, K it is, it's an orchestration to run the container platform. So what Kubernetes consists of? Kubernetes consists of a master server or master node or control plane and has a worker node. So we will be having a worker node. So this is a standard Kubernetes architecture where there will be a control plane or a master. There will be a worker nodes. In the worker nodes, our container will be deployed in the worker nodes. Okay. So this maintaining this control plane, if it is managed by AWS or Azure or GCP, which is Google, they will maintain this control plane, and these worker nodes are maintained by our project. So where it is worker nodes are nothing but EC2 machine or VM. You can add many number of worker nodes. So in Kubernetes, we have something called node groups. Okay, so where we will add nodes inside this node groups. So basically our major role is on worker node. Everything on the control plane is being maintained by AWS or Azure or Google. But now when it comes to the on-prem world, okay, especially in banking, especially in government sectors, so they will not rely on the public cloud. They will build their own private cloud. Okay, so when they build their own private cloud, what they will do, first they will have a VMware layer, or before the VMware layer, they will have a hardware, blade server or rack server. After the hardware, they will have VMware. On top of VMware, they will create a VMs. VMware is nothing but hypervisor. We can say EXXI or EXX on top of hardware, and then VMs. On top of VM, they will use these VMs and build a OCP platform. So OCP can be installed in two ways. One is on top of VM, second in top of bare metal. Okay, so it can be done in two ways. We can also use bare metal installation. Okay, so either in VM or bare metal. If it say we need VM, we can have four VM as worker node, three VM as master node, because if one master goes down, another, it's an on-prem environment. So it basically 4 plus 3, 5, 7 VM is provisioned to create the OCP environment. OCP is nothing but OpenShift Container Platform. So what we will do with OpenShift? So currently, say, don't worry about the installation. I'm skipping the installation part. So what OpenShift will have? So OpenShift as a Red Hat platform, they offer a lot of things. What they are offering something called as Operator Hub. Second one, they we have will be directly creating namespaces, and then we have OCP route. Okay, so let me explain what is Operator Hub, what is OCP route. So first thing is namespace. So what this namespace will do, currently we will have multiple environments, say dev, okay, then we will have SIT, then we will have UAT, then we will have production, okay, UAT, and we will have production. OCP come with the license, Red Hat license, which is based on CPU and core. It's expensive. Okay, so what we will do, we will have namespace created. Namespace is nothing but logical isolation of your infrastructure of your. So you will have dev namespace, SIT namespace, and UAT namespace. For security reasons, we will have another custom cluster called production cluster. Okay, so production OCP, which is OpenShift cluster, where production will be isolated in a different cluster in many ways. Okay, so what will happen? So we have an OCP OpenShift, but most of the case we will working in the namespace. So there is two things. One is in the cluster level access and namespace level access. Cluster level access and namespace level access. So what is cluster level access? For example, the master node. You have see the metrics. What is CPU, memory, or you want to access the nodes, then it will have cluster level access you need. But say namespace level access, I can give only to dev for access only to dev. So where you will only see dev namespace and you can deploy to only dev namespace, or you can do SIT only. So there's a two roles which is available. One is administrator and developer. So administrator role or developer role. For each namespace, you can be administrator for that particular namespace also. Okay, these two will be there. So now uh, I hope namespace is nothing but we are creating different environments within for the same application. So when the application first team is developer is developing, they will do it in dev. Then they will use SIT for integration testing. Then UAT is like a pre-prod. Once it is done, they will promote to prod. Okay. So this is the namespace. Then we have something called operator hub. What is operator hub? So OCP, OpenShift platform has lot of operators. For example, you want to have a cache solution. So we use Redis. Instead of Redis, there is an operator called Red Hat Data Grid. Okay, so data grid. So these operators, you no need to go outside. It's like a market. Okay, you want PubSub or Kafka, then you can use AMQ streams. Okay, AMQ streams. Okay, so there is many, and there is something called advanced cluster security. There is compliance operators. Okay, so there is a lot of, it is like a marketplace. Lot of operators are available. For example, you need an image registry. There is a QA operator available where you can install this operator and create a QA image registry. Okay, so for now to understand simply, OpenShift, you want to install something in OpenShift, you need to first check the operator is available. If operator is not available, you can take the image, container image, and you can deploy. Okay. But you can go to operator hub and check for operators are available. So Redis, instead of Redis, they provide data grid. This is nothing but Kafka, QA registry, and you want API gateway. Then there is something called 3-scale API gateway. 3-scale API gateway. Okay. So then say now you have a namespace. And the name in the namespace you have in the UAT namespace you have deployed your container. Okay. After deployed your container, how you will access this container? So you have to create a route. Okay. So the route is nothing but networking. So you have to create a route. So how you will create a route? You need to have something called domain name or host name. So the host name can be, for example, apps apps dot cloudbobby.com. Okay, this is my host name, for example. Now, whatever route I create, say I have deployed an UI container. Now the container become ui.apps.cloudbobby.com. Okay, so there is something called ingress in Kubernetes. Okay, anything we take outside the network, then Kubernetes offers something called ingress. Okay, so here in OCP, so what this ingress is do? Ingress will use something called uh, CLM or some CNI network. Okay, then it will for outside traffic, it will use whether you will expose as a node port or load balancer. Basically, there's two ways to expose. One is load balancer or node port. Node port is any worker node port you can use. A load balancer is you have a separate load balancer. Similarly, same load balancer only we will be using for OCP route. So basically, what happens is you have a worker node or you have your namespace. Actually, instead of namespace, you have your OCP node, which will be configured with the load balancer. Load balancer. So usually load balancer will have a virtual IPs, VIPs in real time. So VIP1, VIP2, VIP3. So say for example, VIP1 I will give for my master servers. Okay, 10.0. But for my worker node and infra node, let me tell you what is infra node. So I give VIP2, which is the IP address. So this IP address will be having a mapping of this domain. So what I will do for that IP address, I will make a domain name resolution. For the load balancer IP address, I will give this as the host name. Okay, this will be the host name for my DNS. So this way, what will happen? Whatever application I am exposing to route will have this. They use this host entry. Okay, so it's now route is nothing but you are exposing your deployed container to be accessed outside. That is OCP route. So the operator hub, namespace, and OCP route. So in the infrastructure, I told something called infrastructure node. So infrastructure node, worker node, okay, and master node. So these are the three nodes OCP has: infra node, master node, worker node. Okay, worker node and master node are say if I'm using 3-scale API gateway, okay, that will be deployed in infra node. So what will happen? Any communication going out of OCP, OpenShift, we use something called infra node. So worker node will talk to infra node. So what happens? Your route will be configured in infra node. Any operator you will install in infra node. Okay, but this infra node, master node, worker node, we no need to deep dive too much. We have to see these three concepts of OCP route, namespaces, and operator hub. So these are the things. Let me continue in the next class.